What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be bringing you my full disassembly for the Kunwu Tao compact. Let's jump into it. Before we begin, I always recommend a good set of bits. You can get the Weeha bits, and I do have the Weeha stubby driver, even though this is not the Weeha stubby driver because I don't leave that one outside. Those are linked down in the description. So will the work mats that I use. I like these because they have the pockets for all the parts, and then they have a magnetic pocket for all the bits that'll be coming off of here. So what you'll need for the disassembly of this knife is you're going to need a T8 for the pivot. And as you can see, the rest of the hardware is T6. I personally prefer to disassemble from the lock bar side. You have a captive pivot over here, which is tough to deal with if you're trying to take it out because you got to go through the knife to get rid of the pivot. This one here you can lift up. And it does look like this screw here is also a fastener for that back spacer. So we are going to take all of that out. So grab your T6 if you like these drivers. This is the Scout tool driver. This one is the Griffin driver. I mentioned that in every video. I don't have any affiliate programs with them, but I do try to link their sites down below for anybody that might want them. They're nice tools for under $100 that are a little bit more fancy than your typical drivers like the Weeha stubby bit driver, and they work really nicely as well. So go ahead and remove your pocket clip. Why is this so tight in here? I can't quite grab it. That's the disadvantage with the large hand with the compact tools, is these do tend to want to stay put. So let me go ahead. I think I got that all the way out. Goodness gracious. Trying to squeeze it, but this thing is really in here. All right, we're going to leave it there for a second. Can't quite get that out. Let's go ahead and take the other bolt out. We'll lift that off with the scale on. And what we'll do is when we take it off the scale, I'll take a look at it a little bit closer to see what's going on with it. Last one you'll remove is going to be your pivot. So go ahead and use your T8 for that. I feel like the whole thing just moved. Yeah. Yeah, so they definitely have this thread locker on this one. That was definitely hard to get out. Yeah, they got a ton of thread locker on there. So keep that in mind when you're disassembling this. With this bolt out, you should be able to easily remove it without the hardware coming out. It looks like we have a Chicago style screw. So just lift up on your lock bar and wiggle it, and it should come apart. So this does have multi-row bearings, so we don't have skiffs for these just yet. And what we're going to be doing, since we have it disassembled, we're going to go ahead and clean and oil everything up. Oh, I did say we would take a look at why the pocket clip isn't coming out easily. And I can also check to see if the Lynch Northwest clip will work on this one. Oh, I don't have my pry bar out here either. Okay, well, we're just going to leave this alone. Well, actually, I might need to remove it because the the hardware screw is stuck in there. Let me see. I don't have my titanium pry bar, which I like a little bit better because it's softer and it's not going to be as prone to damage it. But what we can do, oops, that's not the one I meant to flip over. What am I doing? Can't see because of the camera. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and try to work that up, and it came right out. It even has like a little relief hole there, so I'm not quite sure why that had such a hard time coming out. We'll set that aside for now. Could be maybe they put it in too quickly after they did the coating on that. I'm not quite sure. This one here, I am going to dry clean because I have not had it that long, just about a week or so. And as you can see, it's just kind of like that pasty oil. And I prefer more of that liquidy type lube on my knives. So I'm just going to clean it all down really nicely and make sure that I have a nice clean surface. Sorry, my dirty old rag is in the way. And make sure that there's nothing in the pivot. It looks like there's a hair there, but that could be a scratch. Let me see. Yeah, I think that might be just a mark. Yeah, it's just a mark. Going to clean the lock bar interface and the detent ball off. And we'll set that back aside over there. Same thing here. The D-shaped pivot faces the bottom of the knife. So as you can see here, your pivot should be facing the bottom, like so. So I'm going to take the pivot out, and we see we did lose the hardware for the standoff. I'm going to go ahead and clean the greasy lube out of there, so we're nice and clean and dry. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this fastener back here through the back spacer. Sorry, a little harder for me to see it than you guys because I'm looking through the camera. And then I'm going to clean the pivot off really quick. Make sure that it doesn't have any grease on it as well. I didn't mean to get so close. I forget you guys can see pretty good at this distance. So now that that is cleaned off, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this with a little bit of lube on it. And remember, your D shape needs to be facing down. So the best way I have found to do this is just put a little bit of lube on the top there, and that's just to help with the action in the pivot. I think we got it, but I'll double check when we get it in there. And just reinstall that. Make sure the D is facing down. That spacer in the back keeps coming out. Yeah, there we go. We're lined up. Or are we? Hold on. Okay. Up. All right, now she's having a little bit of fun with me. All right, so we got everything lined up, everything facing in the right direction. And I just touched this. I'm going to add a little bit of lube back to the pivot. I am going to dry the grease off of these multi-row bearings that are on nylon washers. These work really, really good. Those multi-row bearings ensure there's minimal gaps between the balls, so there's no pivot play, and it makes sure that they're all riding on smooth bearings all throughout. So you're getting twice as many of the ceramic balls touching the blade, and that is going to make it super, super smooth, which is a really nice touch from Kunwu. I really do enjoy seeing that. Now that we have everything ready to go, we'll go ahead, grab our lube back out, and there we go, it's coming out, and try to hit all of the balls that we can, and then we'll work the rest in. Nice smooth bearings. The bearings are really, really good, even though I'm not a huge fan of nylon. I feel like I worry about it breaking down, but they are really, really smooth. My stop pin is on the other side, so I'm going to switch that back to this side. Install the blade. Make sure that pivot is that D on the pivot is still facing downward dog. And then we're going to drop a little lube right there in front of the detent hole for the detent ball to pick up so that it doesn't get on the lock face and create lock stick. So we'll go ahead and add lube to this bearing. We will install this on the top here. It should sandwich into that construction. All of my barrels, stop pin, and lanyard barrel are all in the right place. So what we can do now is go ahead and reinstall the outer scale. With that D-shaped pivot, it should line up nice and easy. Go ahead and install your pivot screw. And I would recommend taking that down until it becomes snug. And then once it becomes snug, grab your T6 and then reinstall your one. Trying to see which one is the body screw. Your one body screw towards the back of the knife. Sandwich that one down nice and snug. Don't over tighten these. That went in really quick. And then go ahead and pick your blade up using your finger, you're going to want to make sure, ooh, it's tight, to have that D-shaped pivot so that your logo is facing up and down, and then with your thumb and the blade close to the mat, use your thumb to kind of sandwich that in there and then finish snugging it down. Now it should be centered and you should have good action. Make sure you haven't over tightened it, so nice and smooth. I am actually favoring the show side a little bit, so I might have gone too far. So I'm going to use, let me think about this. Yeah, I need to put my thumb on it, so it's hard to do that upside down. So I'm going to try to back it off just a touch and check the pivot. Nope, it didn't move. A little bit more. No, it's not moving. So I might need to put my card in here because I need to do this upside down. So if you have just a little piece of cardboard that you can stick into the pivot, let me loosen this barrel up to, I'm going to loosen that up. What I'm going to do is just take a small part of the card, since there's not much play. I'm going to move that over. I am going to flip it back over so I can put my thumb on the pivot to keep it up and down. I'm going to use pressure, and then I'm going to snug this back down to a comfortable spot. I don't want to over tighten it, but I don't want it so loose that there's blade play. And then what I'll do is I'll also tighten this supporting screw here to the frame, and hopefully that will get everything centered back up. Everything's nice and centered. Nice action. No blade play. A little tight in the pivot. You don't need to stick the card back now to work it out, but just use your thumb to control the front pivot from moving around too much and just lightly back off. You don't need much, just enough, yeah, for it to be nice and smooth and everything still remaining centered. So let's give it a couple more flips just to make sure everything is good to go. Feels nice and smooth. No blade play. I might be able to back it out a little bit more. Let's see, are we still centered? Still centered. And my pivot's still facing the right way. So I'm just going to lightly, just lightly, yep, move it. It moved very easily. So let's check, make sure. No blade play. Nice and smooth. Perfectly centered. Now this might not be a fall shut, but I am trying to figure out why when I disengage the lock bar, it's not going home. So let me try to back it out just a tiny bit more. Okay, still good there. Still no blade play. And it's wanting to release a little bit easier now. Why isn't it disengaging though? I feel like the pivot's still too tight. So let's do a little bit more. It's deceptive because it feels like it could at any moment become too loose, and I want this to remain up and down, and I don't want no blade play, and I'm wrenching on it. Okay, there it started to drop a little bit now. So I think we're getting close to the sweet spot. I backed it out a lot there just because I want to check it. It's not moving easily. No blade play. Oh yeah, there it is. And we're centered. So I definitely had it too tight because now as soon as I push into the lock bar, it's starting to fall. A little hard to do it at an angle. Yeah. No play whatsoever, I don't think. Hold on. I forgot there's oil on the blade. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Feels good. I don't have any play, and it's falling shut as soon as I put my thumb in the lock bar. I think I need to break this one in a little bit more. I've carried it like a handful of times, and I just wanted to put, clean it and put my own grease on it. But as you can see, it came really clean in the pivot. And I like this one because it's a good size for an office carry. So I probably would never main carry this on its own unless I was going into the office, and then in the office this is great. It's a very unassuming size and shape. Very clean lines, very classy looking, something that I could easily pull out to get into a package at work and then put away, or maybe cut my fruit down, cut some fruit up at lunch and not really feel like I'm threatening to anyone. But really like this. Great size, again, for an office carry, gentleman carry. You know, if you have medium hands, that's going to be a great size. I'm going to reinstall the pocket clip. But I hope this video helped you. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like. If not, completely understand. I appreciate everyone out there that supports regularly liking and commenting on the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys rock. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.